Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Rocky Adams. Today, it's something that came up a couple of times in coaching calls. People were talking about issues that they're having in their relationships and issues that they've had in past relationships that they do not want to make again. So, when you're in a fight with another person, you really don't have a problem with that person. You have a problem with how you expect that person to show up. So, what you really have a problem with is your own expectation as to how that person should show up in a certain situation. So, when blueprints, you guys have seen me say this before, when blueprints come together, they can come together like this. Like you have an idea, a blueprint of the world and how it should work. Your blueprints can either come together like this, or they can come together like this. So I think that many of you have heard me say before as well that it's not me versus you or you versus me, it's us versus the problem. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship, it could be any relationship, whether it's friends or whatever. When you have a problem with a person, just understand that you have a problem with your own expectation. And when you get angry, a lot of people get angry or depressed or overwhelmed or sad or whatever. It's like, what is the feedback? I was talking to someone this morning, and she was talking about how she feels really frustrated when people are mean, and she doesn't understand it. And I'm like, what's the feedback there? So, yes, this behavior is out of alignment for sure. So some of the feedback is this behavior is out of alignment. So when that behavior is out of alignment, you look at it and say, how could I see this differently? What could I do to protect my energy from this basically energy vampire? So one thing that you can do is separate yourself from the situation. Another thing that you can do is view it differently. If you understand that people just do what they do and it doesn't have shit to do with you, has nothing to do with you. If you pick up a snake, he's going to bite you. If you pick up a puppy, he's going to lick your face. So if you see a snake, stay away from the snake, especially if he's poisonous, right? So there's that side of it. The other side of it is, what's the feedback? It's like, if you're such a good person that you can't even understand why people are mean to each other for no reason, it's reason to be proud of yourself, right? So look at the feedback. Just surround yourself by people who support you unconditionally. I talked to a couple of friends today between coaching calls, and I had to get going. I usually pray for people, and I always clear my energy before coaching calls, but I pray for my clients before my calls too. I get myself really ready to serve them as best I can. So I have to get going before a coaching call, and one of my friends says, coincidentally, they both said similar things. Go be brilliant is what one person said to me. Absolutely love that, but I know you will, but go be brilliant. So that's fantastic. And I'm trying to remember what the other one said. I don't want to use people's names necessarily, but it was something right along the same lines. But anyway, surrounding yourself by people who are aligned and build you up into what you are. The only difference between the future self that you dream of, the man or woman that you want to be, and the person that you show up as today is just action. Action over time. What are you building? You're building something today, and that holds true with all relationships. In terms of intimate relationships, when you get angry, overwhelmed, sad, or whatever it is, that's just your pattern. Your pattern is something you created when you were just a little kid. You're between the ages of 4 and 7 years old. You start to learn about group dynamics and how to get your own way within a group of people. And these patterns really served you at one point in your life. You get really sad, maybe mom comes and gives you attention or whatever, so you learn to get really sad under adverse circumstances. You get older, you're still getting really sad and you don't understand why. What if there's nothing to stand up to or back down from? Like, look at the person that you're arguing with. It's usually someone you love, right? Does it even make sense that person would attack you? Sometimes when people say things that don't coincide with our blueprint, all they're doing is telling us how they feel. It has nothing to do. Sometimes people get into name calling and all these other things, but why? It's because they're triggered. So if you see a little 5-year-old, they're in their 5-year-old, their pattern that they develop between the ages of 4 and 7 years old, If you see a little 5-year-old that's all angry, I hate you, what are you going to say? I hate you too, you little bastard. No, you're probably not going to say that to your kid, you know? You just be like, oh, I hate you too, buddy, and you tickle them. You know, I've been in that situation a couple of times. And I hate you too, buddy. And, you know, oh, sorry, this thing turns itself on. I forget about that sometimes. But yeah, so when you're arguing with someone, know that they're in their 5-year-old, their pattern that they created when they were a little kid. So you're literally less intelligent on an IQ test when this happens. And you get two people together that are doing that. It's like a couple of 5-year-olds arguing with each other, and nobody accomplishes anything. I was talking with my client today about fighting clean and how to do it right, you know, and make your point, say what you have to say. Sometimes things get heated, and that's okay. If you argue in the right way and you're just honest about things, like, you're an asshole, if you say something like that, that's not honest. If you love somebody and if you do think somebody's an asshole, it's time to take a look at yourself. Because if somebody has a lesser standard, that's what an asshole is. Somebody who does things that we perceive to be mean, and you know they have very, very misaligned behavior with our blueprint of the world by our sense of ethics and logic. So if you're surrounding yourself by people that you honestly believe are assholes, then you're settling, guys. It's time to get new people in your life. So you look at the feedback, what's really going on. 9 times out of 10, people who love each other don't think the other person's an asshole. You don't put an asshole into your life if you love yourself. If you did, you don't love yourself, and you're settling. And people settle because they don't think that they can do better. What if you're the prize? What if you are the abundance? What if you're the loving creature and you deserve everything that you want? What would you do if you were the king or queen of your own story and you made all the rules? Guess what? You are. So when you get into arguments, guys, and you start to get triggered over other people, you know, have fun with it. Make it a contest. If it's 2 people, if it's someone who can hear you, you know, have this conversation, obviously, before tempers flare up in the first place. Make it known, hey, when you notice this, you know, create a safe word, have fun with it, whatever. I taught a pattern interrupt to a friend of mine a long time ago. He was dating a girl who used to get jealous all the time, and you know, they would get into fights, and he would say condom. It's just a funny, goofy thing, and the way he'd say it was in such a goofy, dorky voice too. And he'd go condom, and she'd say, let's go have sex without one, to acknowledge that she understood what was going on, and it'd like break the pattern, and they'd talk and try to work things out, and they're both laughing at that point. But just be goofy, you know, have fun. When you recognize it, make it a contest. Who can catch themselves in the pattern first? Ooh, yeah, that's not true, is it? You know, it's like I was coaching someone it was probably 2 weeks ago maybe, and she's like, ooh, that was some creative bullshit I came up with, huh? It's really important to understand. You guys have heard me say this before. Can I have a thought and recognize that it's just a thought? You know, so if you have a thought, it doesn't mean it should control your actions. We all have goofy thoughts sometimes. We all have thoughts that they could honestly be dangerous at sometimes. But don't judge yourself over the thought. It's just a thought. And, you know, a thought doesn't have to control your actions. If you allow a thought to control your actions, thoughts give you feelings, right? They're going to either give you good feelings or bad feelings. If a thought gives you bad feelings, you start to tell stories around it. Then you get more bad feelings. Then you get more stories. Then you get more bad feelings and more stories. And next thing you know, you go down a big rabbit hole that you're having trouble getting out of. So when you have a thought and you recognize that it's an uncomfortable thought, ask yourself, is this even real? 99% of the time, it's not even real. So when you're getting pissed off at someone, understand that you're not getting pissed off at someone. You're getting pissed off at the way that they showed up in a situation where you expected them to show up differently. So letting go of expectations is huge. You know, Tony Robbins always teaches, let go of your expectations, replace your expectations with gratitude, actually, is the way he teaches it. But if you replace your expectations with gratitude, you know, does this even make sense that this person that loves me so much would attack me in this way? you're just having a collision of blueprints, guys. It's just your expectations don't match up with their expectations. By their blueprint of the world, they didn't do a single friggin' thing wrong. By your blueprint of the world, that's some serious bullshit. So just look at it and understand that you just are finding a way to make your blueprints do this instead of colliding. But anyway, guys, that's what was coming up today. Sending love. Hope you guys all have a good night, and I'll catch up with you again tomorrow.